Hey everyone, today we have one of my good friends, Joe Oldham, who's an attorney in Akron. How's it going, Joe?
Good.
Excellent. So uh, in our business, I'm going to get right into it because I know everyone's busy, but in our business, we see a lot of issues with deeds, especially if someone's trying to sell a house and they've had a spouse recently pass away, or if they're inheriting a property from a parent. Where the parents have passed away and now the kids are getting it. And we see a lot of issues with estates and probates and people not understanding what to do. So I wanted to bring you on here so you could give us a little bit of guidance on the best way to handle things. Um, so tell me a little bit about yourself, Joe, so everyone listening can get a good idea of what you're all about.
My name's Joe Oldham. I'm a lawyer. I've been practicing law in Ohio since 1995. Office is in Akron, and um, that's basically it as far as my occupation.
And what areas of law do you like to focus on? Obviously, some probate. That's why we're talking to you today. But anything else?
Well, I've done a lot of probate. I do a lot of estate planning, a lot of real estate work, and civil litigation. A lot of times probate work really involves helping people not end up in probate. But if you do, I help with that as well.
Excellent. So, when we're dealing with the sale of residential real estate or investment real estate, how do I avoid a home? How do I avoid probate when we're selling a property?
Well, in order to, I guess, answer your question, the sale of the property isn't avoiding probate. It's when people pass away and you've got to transfer that property to whoever their beneficiaries are, where you end up in probate. There's a number of ways to avoid going to probate. You can put a property into a trust. You can put a property into an LLC. You can add, if you would like, your children, whoever you want to get the property, onto your deed with a survivorship deed, or you can do what's called a transfer on death affidavit.
Yeah, I've heard of that. So what is a transfer on death affidavit?
A transfer on death affidavit is a specific statute in Ohio which allows someone or a couple to transfer property to whoever they want, whether it would be a family, a friend, basically anyone you want, without going through probate. It's a document that basically, in a simple form, says, I own this property, and upon my death, I want it to go to whoever. And it completely avoids going through probate. Then when that person dies, it just automatically transfers. And it's a nice document to have, very easy to do, and it completely avoids probate, which a lot of times for a lot of families is a really good option.
So if my parents pass away and I inherit, their house is going to go to me and my brother and my sister. Um, if they don't have a transfer on death affidavit, what would I be forced to deal with?
If they don't have a transfer on death affidavit and they pass away, you would have to open an estate in whatever county that they lived in, or whoever passed away lives in. And it's not, a complete disaster, but it costs you a fair amount of money, usually in both court costs and in attorney's fees. And in addition to that, there's a pretty significant delay in getting the property transferred under the probate rules. You can't just open a probate and immediately transfer a property after somebody passes, because there's timing requirements from probate court for things like creditors to make an appearance or people to contest wills. And so it takes some time and expense.
Right. And if, like in my world as a realtor, and we've brought you in on several occasions where somebody inherits a property, and I use that word loosely, but they're supposed to get it, and they didn't do anything in advance. You've had to, like, prior to COVID, it can take weeks. And if you have an offer on a house and it's subject to probate court approval, we've seen deals fall apart because it can't get done quickly enough and the buyer doesn't want to wait around. So, and now with COVID, I would imagine, is it taking any longer?
It really is not. And the amount of time it takes to get through probate isn't affected by COVID, but it is affected by a number of factors, including like when the person died and how quickly you're opening the estate. To go through all of those timings would take a long time, but it can really cause problems in, getting properties transferred, either to sell them or just to get them transferred, to the beneficiaries.
Right. So in that same situation where my parents have passed away and they've got a house that needs to be disposed of and it's going to my brother, my sister, and me. If in that situation, if they did have a transfer on death affidavit, how would that look to me in that case?
It would, sorry, I had an incoming call. What it is they would prepare a document, and it says, hey, upon our death.
They were alive, correct?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Prior to their demise, you would have prepared a transfer.
Yes.
Okay, so assuming that was done correctly, and now they pass away, the final one passes away, and we now have this property that's vacant that we're trying to either sell or what have you. If that TODA was properly executed, how does my life look in that situation as one of the kids?
It's very easy. You take you have to get a death certificate, and basically you just file that with the recorder's office, and they automatically transfer the property to whoever's listed on the transfer on death affidavit. It's a really nice document because, first of all, it doesn't give whoever you're giving the property to a current interest. So if you've got a TOD to your son and your son has a divorce or has a medical problem and has creditors, your house isn't at all subject to any of those creditors. He doesn't actually get that house until you pass away. And it's also completely revocable. So if you change your mind, you can, give it to someone else or, basically whatever you want at any time. And if you do that, you don't have to get that person to actually sign off on the document. So it's a very easy document to prepare and file, and it can save you, thousands of dollars and months of time in probate court if you do it.
So you don't have to worry that they had, like, if you had a son or a daughter who you signed this or executed this transfer on death affidavit for, you don't have to let them know.
You actually would not have to let them know, but even if you did, they don't have any interest whatsoever in the property until you were to pass away.
And theoretically, they could find out after your death. Like, so you don't ever have to worry that like somehow they're going to speed it along just to get your house. You don't even have to you don't even have to let them know.
Well, if you're that worried, you may not want to give them the property, but you're correct.
So Joe, you've been really, really helpful. So for our clients, Penney Real Estate Company clients, you mentioned that you had a special little offer that you'd like to give them in terms of the cost to prepare one of these transfer on death affidavits. What are we looking at there?
You're looking at $100 to put the document together, and then it needs to be filed with whatever county you live in. The filing fees are around $35 or $40. So, it's not an expensive thing to do. It's about $150 or under, total. And that can save you, like I said, a few $1,000s or more in probate, not to mention,
A headache.
Yeah, and months of delay. And it's not always a document you want for everyone. There may be some circumstances where it doesn't make sense, but for many, 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 parents with adult kids, as they get older, it makes a lot of sense to put that document in place rather than just rely on a will that by definition has to go through probate court.
Right. So you might be thinking you're doing a great thing for your kids by leaving them a paid off house, but unless you take that one extra step so that it's a clear transition from you to them once you've died, then it could end up being a giant hassle. And you can just really make it much easier with this transfer on death affidavit in most cases.
Correct.
Awesome. Well, you've been great today. Hopefully everyone got some value out of this, and have a great day. Thanks, man, for coming on.
All right. Thank you.